Welcome to the Business of Defense. I'm Rich Brady, your host and CEO at the Society of Defense Financial Management. SDFM proudly sponsors this podcast on Federal News Network. SDFM is the premier association of finance and accounting professionals who work in government and business in the defense sector. Our goal is to bring you inside the companies working to drive change in the defense sector, to hear directly from their business leaders, and to understand how they create value for their companies and their customers. My guest today is Todd Breimer, president and founder of St. Michael's. St. Michael's is a premier small business in the federal contracting space that concentrates its expertise on providing back office management for their federal clients, which allows their federal clients to focus on what they do best, keeping America safe. St. Michael's success has evolved from providing not only back office support, but also finance and accounting support, program management support, and audit sustainment support. Their team's experience and tools enable clients to reduce risk, attract and retain top talent, and ultimately improve results. Let's dig into the why behind St. Michael's back office focus and how they've developed that expertise in the market. Todd, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rich. I'm honored to be here with SDFM and to be representing St. Michael's today.
Absolutely. So let's start what I think is kind of the obvious question: back office functions. You hear that a lot in the private sector, in business, but you don't necessarily hear that a lot in government. How would you describe what are back office functions in government?
I think I can illustrate it best by saying our typical client is a comptroller inside a DoD component or DHS or intelligence community. So we do a lot of budget analyst type support. We provide analytic support, and of course also the audit sustainment, as you mentioned. But paired with that, we also now do a lot of acquisition support, which really we found fits kind of hand in glove with the finance folks because of the way that the POM works and the funding for procurement. So we're helping government agencies to buy other services and other things. And what that has in common, another thing that has in common with the finance work is a lot of it's highly OCI'd, organizational conflict of interest.
Right.
That means that's the work we're gonna do for that client. We're not gonna pursue or be able to pursue other work supporting them.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the acquisition support because I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I think a lot of people don't really understand that if you want to spend money in government, not only do you need a requirement, but you need the funding, which the comptroller office takes care of, but then you need a contract. You can't spend $1 in government without a contract, and that requires the acquisition community. So there is that natural connection between the two. But from a company perspective, does it require a significant different expertise to support the acquisition compared to the financial management functions, or are there some synergies there for you?
So there is some overlap in the skills, but it's usually a very specific skill set that involves DWIA certification on the acquisition side, whether that's DWIA certification in contracting or program management for a lot of the work that we're doing for clients.
And when you walk into a potential client's office, what's your 30-second pitch? How do you pitch St. Michael's?
Yeah, I tell people really our difference, our competitive advantage is our culture. So we're a people business, and we're looking for clients that need the very best people to support their mission or support as supporters their office, what they do. And so we really strive to take fantastic care of our employees, to include giving them an ownership stake in our company after 1 year. And so the client that is going to want to choose St. Michael's is going to be the client that's really involved and interested in that procurement process and is a key part of selecting who, not just the people, but really the company, the contractor company that's going to support them. And we've got a great story to tell of successes at various other clients across Department of Defense, inside of Department of Homeland Security, and also the intelligence community.
Yeah, I hear that quite a bit, that companies are trying to create this unique culture. I'm curious though, how does that resonate with the government partners? In some respects, the office that you're delivering results to, they see it. But when it goes to the contracting office, to the acquisition professionals, they look at more objective criteria. So are they really able to assess your responsiveness to the customer and that unique company culture when they make these final contract awards?
It's highly important to them that they get reliable, even dependable support. And it's a different world out there today,
right,
for hiring and recruiting and retaining. The last 4 years have changed a lot of things. And so I do believe that many contracting officers are looking for the company that's going to be able to provide the right people and be able to retain those people, so that there's a lot of continuity and dependability of the support.
Well, that's good to hear. So it's not all what they say, low cost, technically acceptable. There are other factors that build into those final decisions.
So you see some of that, right? And it's a very easy decision often for the government at the start of a contract to choose the lowest bidder, but then they've chosen the lowest bidder. And if that is the sole criteria for a contract, then that's probably not the best contract for St. Michael's.
Right.
We're looking for that client, and we found clients that really see the differentiation and the way that we treat our employees, what we have to offer them, and then the benefits that brings inside of their client office.
You mentioned earlier that you're an ESOP, but I think you're also a service-disabled veteran-owned small business. So can you talk a little bit about those two categories and what competitive advantage that gives you as a small business?
Yeah, a great question. So my wife and I, we started St. Michael's 18 years ago, and I was the sole owner of the company for about the first 10 years. We realized quite a lot of successes, and we started thinking about, okay, where's the future going to lead us? Our children, are they going to be interested in taking over this company? Are we going to want to sell to third party? But then we found out about employee ownership, and we are completely sold on the concept of handing our company over to the people that work at St. Michael's that have helped to make us successful. So in 2016, at the end of 2016, I sold about 20% of the ownership of St. Michael's to our ESOP. So I retain around 80% now. So we're still a service-disabled veteran-owned small business based on me being the majority owner of the company. We will this year, we believe, have a second ESOP transaction. And it's too early for me to know where that's going to take us, whether it's closer to a 50-50 kind of setup, or maybe 51-49, or if we may look for our ESOP to take that big step to become the majority owner of St. Michael's. So more to follow on that. I'd be happy to come back early next year and let you know where we went with that.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back and hear how this works out. I think this is the first I've heard of this type of an arrangement in the now 2 years that we've been doing this podcast. So I think it's unique in this space, what the arrangement that you have.
It certainly differentiates us and the war for talent that's out there. And I recently had a chance to meet with relative new hires, a group of about 15 people that had been working at St. Michael's from 1 to 3 months. We get people into the company, get them out to the client site, and then we bring them back for a day after they've been out at the client long enough to see what's going on. And we remind them that they're working for a company that is different, that we believe is a great company that they can own someday by staying at St. Michael's and making their career with us. So as I spoke to this group of about 15 people and asked them what did they like so far, really the main two answers were the culture. I really like the camaraderie here. I like the company core values and seeing the company live those 5 core values. and the chance to perhaps own some of this company down the road and to take that into retirement. It's really appealing to people.
So you've been in ESOP for about 10 years now. Are you seeing it impacting employee retention in a positive way?
I have, and the key thing is to get that right person in that really sees the value and the ownership. It is, an ESOP is a retirement plan. So it's a second retirement plan on top of the St. Michael's 401k. So it's a long-term proposition. I tell people it's not fast food, it's a crock pot, right? You got to have patience with it, but every year there's a once a year process where employees get an annual statement where they see how many more shares they got for the past year and the total value of those shares and where they are in the 5-year vesting process. And we had a series of those meetings in June, and you could really see there are people that completely understand it, and they're starting to think, act, and feel like the owners that they are.
They're into the crock pot.
They are. They understand the long-term value.
Absolutely. You are listening to The Business of Defense with my guest, Todd Breimer, President of St. Michael's. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Business of Defense, sponsored by the Society of Defense Financial Management on Federal News Network. I'm talking with Todd Breimer, President and founder of St. Michael's. Having performed 25 years of active and reserve service as a Special Forces officer, I can only imagine that this experience helped shape St. Michael's values and Todd's leadership style. I'm eager to rewind a bit and hear more about the beginnings of St. Michael's, when it started nearly 2 decades ago as a one-man shop. And now, quite a few years later, the lessons learned and what he sees on the horizon as opportunities in defense financial management. Todd, let's go back, if we could, to 2006 and that pivotal point when you decided to start St. Michael's with you and your wife. Can you take us back to that point, and what gaps did you see in the market or need you saw that you felt that you could fulfill?
Yeah, happy to, Rich. So in 2006, I was in my 7th year at a large defense contractor. And I'd use those 7 years to learn about the business, how to win the work, how to perform the work, how billing and pricing works, and all those kind of things. And it gave me a lot of confidence to be able to go out into the marketplace. So I, forever, a long time, and I know there's people out there listening that are thinking, gosh, I should start a business someday. That was me, right? Yeah. Going further back than this. And I just didn't know when and where and what. So by 2006, I started to figure that out. And I wanted to start St. Michael's because I felt constrained. I felt being in the large company that was covering the entire waterfront of agencies and organizations, DoD components, that I didn't have the freedom to go where I thought I could best serve clients. So I put a lot of work into figuring out how to get started. I had a coworker that was instrumental in helping me to find the first opportunity. This gentleman was somebody I worked side by side with. He had retired from a very successful DoD career in financial management. And we used to commute together because we happened to be neighbors. And I talked to him about what I wanted to do, and he helped me to find that first opportunity with a key introduction, a small business that had won a nice contract, but was struggling to find the people with the right skill set and the right clearance to be able to do that work. So this opportunity presented itself as a 9-month contract. I went home and told my wife, Jenny, that I had this great idea, as she was at home at that time raising our 4 children, and I was the sole breadwinner. I said, I got this great idea. I need to quit this secure job I've invested 7 years in, and we need to start our own thing. And she told me, Todd, that's exactly what you need to do. You've always wanted to do that, and I know you're going to do great at it. So she might have had more confidence in me than I had, but we went after it, right? And that 9-month contract, which I viewed as a tryout, it was highly successful for us. It was supporting a client that was a worldwide Department of Defense client. I traveled literally around the globe that first year, and we were able to add on 2 more positions to our subcontract and hire 2 people in that first year. So there was no looking back from there.
I said it was a one-man shop, but it sounds like it was really a 2-person shop because you couldn't have done it without your wife as your board of directors, your board of advisors, and your greatest supporter.
Yes, we are a team.
So you served in the military. How did that background help influence the start of the business?
Yeah, I would say my background in the military was a highly varied one. I got to do a number of different kind of assignments, some of them unusual. So as Green Beret, Special Forces, we had to figure a lot of things out, right? We were not always given a very detailed 5-paragraph operations order. A lot of times we were just given a task and purpose. And we had our values, which guided what we would and would not do. But we also did a lot of living by our wits and figuring things out. And really in that world, it's entirely about relationships. And that was a very key skill. Problem solving, working with people, really helped to build the person that I have become and put me in a great position to start a business from scratch.
How important is that? Can you talk a little bit more about that as a small business starting out? I think some people, if you read in a textbook, it says you've got to have a detailed business plan and you follow this strategy that you've outlined and everything. But as they say, no plan survives first contact. So that within 2 years of you starting your business, we had the Great Recession, and so you were probably adjusting quite a bit. So how important is that flexibility, adaptability early on as an entrepreneur?
So I was supposed to have a detailed plan. Wow, did I mess up, right? No, really, that first contract, I completely focused on that because it was, to me, it was the tryout to prove what I could do. So I said, I had this idea that I could do better not being constrained by what a large company and its bureaucracy wanted from me. So I just set about improving that. And we always did know that we wanted to have employees. We didn't want to be just a 1 or 2 person show. And we hired our first employee a month into it. And I told you I'd learned how to win the work, do the work and such. We had no idea about HR, payroll, or any of those things. So I like how the Project Management Institute says that projects are progressively elaborated, which some people might say that would be making it up as you go along. Yeah, the early days of starting a business, they're always going to be somewhat like that. And we solved problems as problems came along. And we've always tried to look down the road to see what's coming up to anticipate those. And again, my background was always to have a plan and a contingency. And so just to anticipate what could go wrong, what will we do if this happens, right? If a contract doesn't get renewed, things like that. So we've done a pretty good job of figuring it out for these 18 years.
Yeah, having a contingency mindset is important. A lot of people ask me, what's the difference between being a commander in the military and being the CEO of an organization? And I said, well, as a commander in the military, I never had to worry about making payroll. But that's top of mind. So for you, when did you know that St. Michael's was sustainable, that you got through the first contract, maybe got a couple more, weathered the Great Recession, and you were kind of up on plane and sustainable?
Yeah, a great question. We never want to be complacent, so we're only as sustainable tomorrow as what we're doing today, and it's important to keep that kind of day one mindset. But I'll say this, we hired a couple people the first year. We added a second project the second year. won our first prime contract the third year. So things are going really good, right? 3 years into it. And then that takes us into about fiscal year 10, 11. There were rescissions, budgets were getting tight, and our prime contract ended. And we were not, I would say we were not prepared for that. And that fourth year was really a struggle for us. My wife and co-founder, she went back to work as a school nurse during that time to get us through that. And it was a struggle, but the other thing was I was still very chargeable, right? I was a guy going down to the client site every day or most days, and that stopped also, which I got to tell you had a big impact on revenue, but it freed me up to go and see what else was out there that St. Michael's could be doing and should be doing, what other clients could use our skills, what other relationships did we need to start. And so we spent a lot of time, I would say, planting during that year, and it really paid off in the fifth year and then beyond as we won more and more prime contracts.
Getting back to the business side a little bit, talking about contracts, you were involved in some contract vehicles like Oasis and Seaport. Can you talk a little bit about those and how important those are for a small business?
Yeah, great question, Rich. So in that third year when we won our first prime contract, within about the same week, we got onto the GSA schedule. And that's a process, and I would tell any business that's starting out that is working in the federal space, you want to be on the GSA schedule. If you're going to do DoD work, you want to get your facility clearance. Those vehicles become very important. So we've had the GSA schedule now for 15 years. We have done many contracts on GSA schedule. We are also on a contract vehicle that's about to end, Oasis Pool 2, small business. Is still around until December of this year. So agencies can still use this for end of year spending. It's been a really good vehicle for us. We're into the Coast Guard on that vehicle. We're into the Federal Protective Service, Air National Guard, and other agencies that's one of their principal government-wide contracts that they use to find services, because they know the companies that get onto Oasis have already been pre-vetted. They're good companies. And in the case of Pool 2 small business, they're usually financial management kind of companies like St. Michael's.
I know you've had some mentors that have helped you along the way in both your military career and your business career. Can you share any advice that they gave you that would be helpful for our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, I love that question, and this is why, because when I was a young person, there were people that helped my career, whether it was in the Army or to start and to thrive at St. Michael's. And now I'm getting to where I'm kind of looking at the second half of my career, and it's important to remember that somebody helped me, somebody helped us to get where we are at St. Michael's. And I've got really a pretty unique opportunity to lend a hand up to other people. And I was just meeting yesterday with one of our younger senior leaders at St. Michael's and talking with her just about this very thing. We have the chance to really change lives. And that's what still gets me out of bed at this point and keeps me coming in is the people and the opportunity to really influence people in a positive way and help them. So I mentioned a mentor that helped me to find our very first client. I'll be really forever in debt to him. But when I was in the Army and I was a young staff officer, young captain, I had a really good boss that helped me in so many ways. One of the ways that he really helped me that's paid off since then was he had the candor to tell me that my writing skills were not at the level that my writing skills should be. And nobody had ever told me that before. And he not only had the candor to give me that feedback, but he helped me to find the training that I needed to get better at that. And then many years later, those skills have paid off for me, whether it's in proposal writing or I actually published an article with a client that went into a major publication. And so I did go back to that boss from the Army and let him know I was worth the investment, and his investment in me has paid off. So I sometimes ask myself, who are the people that I need to, one, be having those candid conversations with, and two, how can I help them to get better?
It sounds like all that advice not only helped you, but St. Michael's, your employees, and your federal clients. So we definitely look forward to having you back and hearing how everything turns out with your organizational structure and your ESOP.
Love to, anytime.
I'd like to thank today's guest, Todd Breimer, President and Founder of St. Michael's, for his insight into St. Michael's business, strategy, company culture, and industry outlook, as well as how he plans to stay on top by delivering services and expertise in the back office and the front office for his federal clients. Watch the Business of Defense next month, where we bridge the gap between the boardroom and the battlefield and between the flight line and the bottom line to advance the mission of national security. Visit sdfm.org to learn more about our defense financial management community. Register for upcoming educational events, including our Data Analytics and Decision Support Virtual Conference happening Thursday, October 24th, and our Certified Defense Financial Manager Certification Program. I'm Rich Brady, CEO at the Society of Defense Financial Management. You are listening to the Federal News Network. For more on this discussion, visit federalnewsnetwork.com and search SDFM. Thank you.